الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه وأجمعين. Respected Dr. former Professor Hussein Mia, former Professor of University of Brunei Dar es Salaam, respected Dr. Ismet Ramzi, Senior Professor, Faculty of Education, University Malaya, respected Dr. Muhammad Fauzi Muhammad Zaki, Assistant Professor, Department of Political Science, International Islamic University, Malaysia, Dr. Fatima Afra Muhammad Razak, former lecturer, Southeastern University of Sri Lanka, and Dr. Muhammad Azad, part-time lecturer at IIUM Academy, as well as visiting faculty member at Rifa International University, Islamabad, Pakistan, respected IIMU fellows, participants, students, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
First of all, I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us this opportunity to discuss issues facing the Ummah in various countries, particularly Muslim minorities, and more particularly Muslims living in South Asia, ASEAN, Southeast Asia, and Far East Asian countries. The International Institute for Muslim Unity, has been established in the International Islamic University 23 years ago with the vision to be a leading institution specializing in matters concerning the Muslim world and civilizational issues. The mission of the institute is to actively address the concerns of the Muslim Ummah and humanity, aiming for the betterment of all through research, human capacity development, and collaborative efforts with Muslim and international organizations. For the benefit of our participants and speakers, we have some specific objectives at the International Institute for Muslim Unity of the International Islamic University, Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. The following are our objectives: to initiate research and organize seminars and conferences addressing spiritual and socio-economic issues in the Muslim world, matters of civilization, practical applications of maqasid in leadership and everyday life. To foster strong relationship with major Islamic and international organizations, aiming to enhance the well-being of the Ummah and humanity as a whole. 3, to enhance human capacity in the Muslim world through comprehensive training programs and interactive workshops. 4, to collaboratively organize programs with other organizations on the themes prioritized by the International Institute for Muslim Unity. 5, to design and conduct training programs aimed at nurturing young leaders within the Muslim world. 6, to elevate the status of International Islamic University Malaysia, IIUM, as a globally recognized Islamic educational institute. And lastly, to actively promote public diplomacy aimed at mitigating and resolving conflicts among countries in the Muslim world. These are some of the specific objectives of our institute. Last month, we had a first discussion or seminar on Muslims in Serbia. And this month, we have focused on Muslims in Sri Lanka. And in the months to come, we will be choosing 1 or 2 countries focusing on Muslim unity issues, Muslim leadership issues, Muslim minority matters, and so on. For today's discourse, we have 5 experienced people. 4 of them are brothers and 1 is our sister, and they are all from Sri Lanka. And they have chosen different themes to talk today. Since our aim is to focus on Muslim unity with special reference to the minorities of this region, we have given priority for these countries. We have also decided to include issues related to Muslims in Albania, Germany, and other countries in Europe in the months to come. We will be also having programs similar to this kind, choosing some countries from Africa. We need the fullest cooperation of the young Muslim growing scholars and students to attend such programs and contribute to the unity of the Muslim Ummah in one way or the other by providing suggestions, by giving feedback, by giving all kinds of intellectual and other support. With this brief information, let me welcome all of you, particularly the speakers, and more importantly, the participants from different parts of the Muslim world. I can see people from Sri Lanka, from India, from Pakistan, and from other parts of the world. Alhamdulillah, thank you all very much for your kindness and cooperation in running this program. With this, let me also briefly give you how the program will be conducted. Each speaker will be given a maximum of 15 minutes, taking into account the time constraint as well as the busy schedule of the speakers as well as the participants. To begin with, let me respectfully invite Dr. Fatima Afra Muhammad Razak, a former lecturer of the Southeastern University of Sri Lanka. For your kind information, Dr. Fatima has graduated from the International Institute of Islamic Thought and Civilization of the International Islamic University, Malaysia. And I invite with great respect Dr. Fatima to make your presentation. Fal yatafaddal. Dr. Fatima, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you. Welcome. Yes, we can see you.
Can disable the
You
screen
can
share?
share the slides if you have.
Yes, it won't be disabled by the host.
Prof, someone need to make her as a co-host.
Sharing is not turned on. Sharing. Sharing is not turned on. Can you Can you do that? Huh? Can you share again the slides, Dr. Fatima? Afra?
Okay, okay, sure.
Okay. Yes, we can see your slides.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today, I will discuss the diverse history of the Muslim community in Sri Lanka, tracing their origin, key historical events, and the factors that have shaped their identity. As we all know, Sri Lanka is located in the Indian Ocean. We can say it's like a teardrop shaped island which is known for its natural beauty and bordered by Indian Ocean to the south and the to the west.
Dr. Afra, we can't hear you.
Am I audible?
Yes. Now, okay.
Okay. Sri Lanka is a multi-religious country where different religious people like Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims, Christians live together. We can say the total population of Sri Lanka around 22 million, and the Sri Lankan Muslim have distinct subgroups such as Sri Lankan Mus, Sri Lankan Malays, Indian Muslim. Most of the Sri Lankans following Sunni, primarily the Shafi school of thought, with small community following the Hanafi and the some few of Shia. And Sri Lankan to understand the history of the Sri Lankan Muslim, we must talk how their presence has been recorded. The documentation of this history more prominent during the British rule. In 1888, Sir Ponnamala Ramanathan, who represent the Tamil race in the Legislative Assembly, presented an argument that claiming Muslim were Dravidians, who embraced Islam, and the origin was South India. The argument was published in his article titled The Ethnology of Moors of Ceylon. In response to Ramanathan, IIM Abdul Aziz published a book titled Criticism.
We can't hear you again.
No. We are able to hear Professor Usama. We are hearing.
Dr. Afra, we can't hear you.
No, Professor Usama, we are hearing.
Is it okay, Prof?
Professor
Yeah,
Usama, we are able to hear her.
I can hear. I can hear.
Yeah, Prof. We can hear you.
Yeah, I also can hear.
Yes, continue her. Sister, please continue.
Okay. IIM Abdul Aziz published a book entitled A Criticism of Mr. Ramanathan Ethnology of the Moors of Ceylon. According to the historical sources, he argued that Muslims, Ceylon Moors, were Arab origin and race. And he emphasized the need of more comprehensive research in the history, and several research-based articles, essays, books published over time. But in 1984, the Nalini Center for Islamic Studies and the International Center for Ethnic Studies jointly organized a seminar that various researchers presented scholarly papers on the subject of Sri Lankan Muslim. In 1986, Dr. M.A.M. Shukri published as a book, the collected, compiled and the edited book as with the title Muslims of Sri Lanka, Avenues to Antiquity. This became a foundation in the history of Sri Lankan Muslim. After a significant number of books and research works have been written about the history of Sri Lankan Muslim, I have mentioned here few of them. And after 1948, after the independence era, post-independence era, we need a comprehensive research covering the entire history, the history, problems, and the challenges that faced by Muslims in the history. I think recent publication I have mentioned here, Dr. Rauzain's book about the contribution of national life to the Sri Lankan, of the Sri Lankan Muslim to the country by the various sectors. It will be the initial initiative to fill the gap in this research. And to talk about the Sri Lankan history. If I ask, do Muslims of Sri Lanka have a historical present? Yes, definitely we can say yes, because we do not have unlike the Sinhalese who have the Mahavamsa and the Tamils who have the Yalpana Vaipavamale, we do not have a single unified historical chronicle, but we Muslims possess a considerable historical records and evidence that document their history from the early period. I have mentioned here the 5 important sources that we can evidence through these sources. And but the historians define opinions the exact period of Muslims' arrival in Sri Lanka. And some suggest that Muslims arrived early 7th century, and some mention as they arrived in the period of Islamic expansion, and some mention that Muslims arrived to Sri Lanka even before the Aryan migration. So the trade and commerce is the most important evidence that Muslims had a good relationship with other countries. And Professor Rohita Dasanayaka mentioned in his book, there are 3 important reasons of the Sri Lanka's, why Sri Lanka plays a vital part in the East commerce system: the existence of maritime commercial network, and the existence of sea land route, as well as natural harbors, the plenty of natural assets. Furthermore, the ship repairs and the other requirement attract the foreign traders from various parts of the world. So the Sri Lanka strategic location, as I mentioned earlier, the location between the China, the Southeast Asia, Middle East, the location facilitated the maritime context in the ancient time. And also, Sri Lanka particularly maintain a strong relationship with India. According to the Western historical record, Sri Lanka notably enhanced with the commercial interaction with the Western regions. And the archaeological evidence supporting this has been found several excavations across the Sri Lanka. And although throughout the history, we can find that most Arabians, most writers, historians, poets, travelers mention Sri Lanka with the distinctive name. That most Arab writers mention Sri Lanka as Sarandip. Some of them, like Ibn Battuta, mention as Ceylon, and some Ceylons, Jaziratul Yaqut. These names underscore the attention given to Sri Lanka's rich environment and the natural resources. And according to Cosmos, which date the 6th century, Persian merchants sourced silk from Indian traders who transported to Ceylon. But there is a evident predator to the Cosmos account that Fahian met visiting the South Arabian merchants in Sri Lanka. And also, Wilhelm Geiger mentioned the early chronicle Mahavamsa that Anuradhapura, the Sinhalese capital, had a designated area near its western gate to the Yonas. These Yonas identified as the Arabian traders. These traders even possibly arrived Sri Lanka before the Aryan migration. So these evidence confirming the arrival of Sri Lanka to the Arab traders to the Sri Lanka before the 5th century. And the historical text is the other source of that we can confirm the arrival of Muslim traders. Sri Lanka, many historical events recorded by writers and the historians and the poets and the travelers to confirm the arrival of Muslim traders in the early period. Ibn Sahrayar mention event that upon hearing the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's message, people of Serendip sent a representative to get the more information, but that journey was so lengthy and so difficult. The representative arrived Medina after the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam region, and it was Khalif Umar's region, and he met Khalif Umar and get the information. And in the return journey, the servant died at Makran, and the servant, that representative died at Makran, and the servant brought back the account of Umar's humility and the kindness, which possibly influenced the perception of Muslims in Sarandi. Researcher Sirima Kiribamune described that the ruler that ruled by Sri Lanka at that time was Akkabodhi, King Akkabodhi III. So in another event in AD in 628, it was mentioned by IIM Amin in his book. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent Wahab ibn Abi Hafsa with a letter to King of Sri Lanka. He arrived Sri Lanka and preached Islam here and met met the king, and king granted permission to build a mosque and preach Islam, and he returned to Arabia in AD 632. And also, Arab historian Ibn Jabir al-Baladuri mentioned in his writing Futuh al-Buldan, gift of us as a gift of Hajjaj ibn Yusuf, the king of Ceylon. The MIM Amin mentioned as king was the King Tabot Issa II. He sent 10 bereaved widows and daughters of specific Arab traders who died in Sri Lanka, and this ship was attacked and attacked by in the Debal, and one of the women exclaimed, "Oh Hajjaj!" Then at that time when the news reached Hajjaj, he said, "I am here," and he arranged to rescue and release those people. So these events demonstrate the early interaction and the settlement to the in Sri Lanka, and they had an interaction with the local rulers and also the inhabitants of the Sri Lanka. And another source is travelers' records. Travelers' record during the 9th and 10th, 11th centuries in many Arabic historical chronicles, poetic literature, and sea adventure reports. There are many references to Serendip and valuable natural resources, and they have mentioned considerable details regarding Sri Lanka and the West Asia trade relationship, such as I have mentioned here a few of them. As Sulaiman Tajir visited Sri Lanka AD 850, and he records and incorporated all the detailed information in his book Silsilatut Tawarik, and Al-Mas'udi in his book Murujad Dahab Ma'adin Jawahir, and Ibn Sahrayar in his book Ajaibul Hind, and also Ibn Qurtuba in his Kitab al-Mamalik wal Masalik. He's one of the most oldest work on Arab geography. He has referred Sri Lanka in his book several times. And also these writings of authors provided considerable detail in the settlement of Arab traders in Sri Lanka, especially their trade relationship with Sri Lanka in other countries. And one of the notable sea adventure report is the 1001 Night, which means Alf Laila Walayla. It's a story which composed during the early period of Abbasi period. It's one of notable characters, Sindbad. He visited Sri Lanka during the region of Harun al-Rashid. The early researchers that dismiss Sindbad's stories as exaggerated, but they contain significant details regarding the international trading and the system, the commercial system, and the trading patterns. After the close examination, it was proved by the researchers. It has the authentic information. We can find more details about the Sindbad story in the Alif Laila Walailan and the notable character of Sindbad in the book Arabs in Serendip by Rohita Dasanayaka. We can find this book in Sinhala as well as in Tamil. In 9th century, Adam speak, the Siripada became well known to the Muslim world as with a belief that Adam set in his first step on Adam speak. In many Arab travelers visited Sri Lanka, the Mount Adam in the 10th and 11th century. It was proved through the details of geographer and the travelers' statesman. And in reference to Ibn Battuta's statement, Sheikh Abdullah ibn Khafif was the first Muslim worshipper who visit Adam's Peak with the beautiful story of elephant diet. We can find that story which mentioned in the Professor Lona Devaraja's book. So there are many travelers mentioned Sri Lanka with several distinct names and several statements which prove the early settlement of Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka. And archaeological findings are the most important source that we can get more information regarding the early settlement and the trade interaction of Arabs. In the tombstone of Khalid ibn Abu Bakaya, it's the most important preceded by time. At that time, Baghdad Khalif was the Al-Muqtafi Billah. He appointed Khalid bin Abu Bakaya to preach Islam in Sri Lanka upon the request of Muslims in Sri Lanka. And he preached Islam in Sri Lanka and he died in Sri Lanka AD 929. At that time, Khalif sent a stone inscribed in Arabic, remained in his grave around 800 years. And Dutch collector removed that stone and used as a stepping stone. In the region of Alexander Johnston, he sent that for inspection. He found that it's belonged to Khalid ibn Abu Bakaya. And also the tombstone discovered in Trincomalee, there are two tombstones belongs to Abu Abdurrahman ibn Muhammad ibn Yusuf al-Alwi and Amiruddin Hussein ibn al-Habalabi's daughter. And also there are inscription and the Arabic coins found in Mutarajawala. Two coins belongs to Khalif Walid and Khalif Harun al-Rashid, and the Arabic inscription belongs to 9th and 10th century and the 13th century and found in many places, many excavations in Sri Lanka. And when we talk about the colonial records, is one of the most important records that prove the history of Muslim Sri Lanka. When Portuguese arrived Sri Lanka, Muslim already established a permanent and prosperous settlement along the coastline. They were trusted by rulers and boosted the treasury. But in 1521, the unexpected and the unexpected incident, significant environment, Kotte was divided to 3 kingdoms. This Portuguese used this opportunity to and they expelled Muslim from Colombo, and they continually drive Muslim from their territories and gradually migrated to the Kandyan kingdom. And after that, in 1656, the Dutch took the control of Sri Lanka coastal line, and like Portuguese, Dutch also viewed Muslim as enemies, and they undermined their economical influence and they aimed destroy Muslims' trade and targeted the eradicate Islam through oppressive laws. But in Sri Lanka, the Muslim community integrated Malay Muslim in this period. The Malay Muslim significantly contributed to various aspects of life in the Dutch colonial period. And in 1796, British took control. In 1815. They gained control of entire island. And at that time, according to Alexander Johnston, around 70,000 Muslims dominated both local and export trade, with the mainly the key trade hubs in Colombo, Golputhalam, and Beruvala. And they repealed the Dutch law that prohibited Muslim to following owning property in Colombo, and Muslim lead success in the trade and wealth accumulation. But despite their economic success, Muslims experience political and social, educational marginalization. And Muslim leaders that time in the 1915 in the British period, there is a Sinhalese Muslim violence. This was prompted Muslim leaders to establish several organizations, and but Muslim behind the National Congress, which advocate to independence 1948, they have contributed for the independence of Sri Lanka. The post-independence era was
Dr. Afra,
mostly
can you please
politically
brief
high. Yes, of
in
course, Prof.
2 minutes, please?
Okay, politically highly ethnicized, and which the Sinhala only Act made the Sinhala official language. This made a ethnic tension between the minorities and Sinhalese, and at that time the Muslim Tamil minorities founded the liberation of Tamileelam. In the 3 decades of time, it was 1980 to 2009. It was a war time in Sri Lanka, civil war, and the Muslim community and state authorities. And the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress was founded in 1981, and Sri Lanka after the post-independent era is until 1948 to 2009, Muslim had a navigated complex political landscape to assert their unique identity, also to secure political protection, to secure economic protection, and among the Sinhalese majority and the Tamil separatists. The after the civil war period was significant changes, which I mentioned here. It will be discussed in the subsequent presenters. I think this presentation has given clear picture about the diverse and dynamic history of Muslim community in Sri Lanka. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sister Dr. Afra Fatima, for your excellent presentation on history of Muslims in Sri Lanka. You have given a chronology of events and information. Unfortunately, due to time constraint, it is very difficult for me to give you more time. Can you please take your screen? Can you remove your slide? So with this, we move on to the next presenter, who is none other than Dr. Hussein Mia. He was a former professor in University of Brunei Darussalam, and he will be speaking on Malay Muslims of Sri Lanka. فليتفضل Dr. Hussein Mia. You are given 15 minutes, please.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You can. Yes, doctor.
Can you see me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Anyway, I have been sort of reduced to the Malay Muslim part. Well and good. The funny part is just to start with, when a top Muslim politician introduced his party, I sort of jokingly wanted to join it. And then, you know what he said? Oh, you are not belonging to the major sector of this community. You are a Java Podian. You know what I mean, Java Podian? The Buddha Java. Java refers to the Malay people. So I think you have invited me as the Java Podian here. So let me talk, if you are interested, that part. As you know, if you talk about Malays, talk about Malays, some or other.
Hello.
My name is
Yes.
involved in the study of Sri Lankan Malays.
Speaking.
My own background is meaning that in Sri Lanka, you don't find pure Malays as such.
Yes.
Because Malay is spoken creolized way, and most of the cultural features over a period of time disappeared. So if I'm going to talk about Sri Lanka Malay.
Can. Yes, but now I am on an online program. I'm busy at the moment. You can.
Hello.
You can call me later.
Can I talk?
You can call me later. You can call me later.
Hello. Can I talk? I'm being disturbed. I'm not sure what is happening here. I'm still online.
Yes, you are online, Prof. Yes, Prof. Somebody interfered in between. Professor Mumtaz, you please mute. Huh?
Yeah, please, because this disturbs my trend of thought.
Doctor, you can go ahead, doctor.
Okay, right. Now, quickly. So just to make a distinction for Malaysian audience, that the Sri Lankan Malays is not the same as the Malaysian Malays, Indonesian Malays. They are what you call a kind of outpost of these people. Currently, they are only identified by a nomenclature given in the statistical records, and also by the fact that they still speak a kind of Malay, which is not standard. Having said that, I have done heavy research on this community as part of my PhD thesis, which was submitted originally to the Indonesian Malay Studies Department at Monash University, Australia. I was invited there to continue my research on the community. So the most important part of my research was that I hit upon or discovered quite a lot of handwritten manuscripts, text, lithograph books, and also some newspapers which people did not know about it. That made me to build up the whole scenario of a community. And I produced it as a book called Orang Regiment, The Malays of Sri Lanka, which was published by the University Kebangsaan in 1991. Before that, I was in the IBKKM, or Institute Bahasa Kebudayaan dan Kesusastraan Melayu in University Kebangsaan, where I was a research fellow from 1985 to 87. Then I produced another book called The Lost Cousins, The Malays of Sri Lanka, which became a rather hit. Quite a lot of Malaysians and Malay politicians read it. And I was known as the lost cousin among the Malays. So that is so far as the background is concerned. Now, I'm expected to tell something about the Malay community. Let me briefly give a small historical background, which is the Malay were first introduced in large numbers, I will say originally, during the period of the Dutch colonial rule in Sri Lanka, which was, say, 1656 until 1796. Previously, the Portuguese were in control from 1505 and 1756. I understand there were some people of Malay origins, such as from Malacca, who have been brought by the Portuguese to fight their wars. So let us ignore that for the moment. So the large majority of the Malays were brought in during the Dutch period, that is 1756 to 1796. And these people, although I call them Malays, they spoke multiple languages which were spoken in Southeast Asia, especially the Indonesian archipelago. Now, for example, the people who were introduced from archipelago belong to various communities such as Banda, Amboina, Java, Sunda, Malaccans, and Achinese, and Balinese, etc. In other words, these the current Indonesian national groups were virtually represented in Sri Lanka at that time.
Why?
And they spoke.
Just only a quarter page, please, not the full.
They spoke different languages which they belong to. Javanese would have spoken Javanese, Sundanese would have spoken Javanese, Achinese would have spoken Achinese, Minangkabau people would have talked Minangkabau. But when they came to Sri Lanka, there was a necessity for them to speak to each other because they come from the same community. So they were talking a lingua franca called Bahasa Pasar, Melayu Pasar, or we call Batavian Malay. Why? Because most of these Malay groups who were brought to Sri Lanka were occupying the outskirts of Batavia, now presently known as Jakarta. They had their own compounds or villages set up there. So when the Dutch wanted to fight wars in Sri Lanka, they recruited these communities of Indonesians living outside the port, and they were all brought here. And most of them, of course, belong to Javanese because it was from the Java area. So that is why they were called as Javanese. And under the Dutch period, they were known as Oosterlingen, which means the Easterners. But they classified them as Easterners. So when did they become Malays then? The Malay nomenclature was imposed on them during the British period. So before that, I was to emphasize that the original Malay migration to Sri Lanka, which took place in the Dutch period, belonged to several categories of people, such as the Rajas or Sultans, and the higher cadre, meaning political exiles, who fought against the Javanese, such as the king of Java, Amangkurat the Mas, then king of Goa, Hasanuddin, and what you call king of Batam, Kachil, all the eastern islands. These rulers were fighting against the Dutch or conspired against the Dutch. When they were caught, they were exiled to Sri Lanka. Because Sri Lanka was, they found, is a very safe place for these guys to send there. So they are called the Benishis, or the Dutch used the word, or among the Indonesians, the word became popular to be sent to Ceylon, meaning desilankan, meaning banishment. So first group is the princes, soldiers, and their royal family people, including some of the gurus or the Maulavis who accompanied them. Number two are the soldiers I spoke to you. The people from the outskirts of Java were recruited as soldiers and sent. Number three are the other workers, like rattan workers, gardeners, cooks. So Dutch had enough people to brought here. So this is the kernel, or the what you call the nuclear community from which the Sri Lankan community grew up. And during the Dutch period, they had a formal regiment. Please remind me the time, okay? I will go on like this. Right. So, but when the Dutch has to leave because of the British arrival, they captured the country, and the British considered this a very worthy thing to turn all these Malay migrants in Sri Lanka during the Dutch period, to turn them into a soldier class, like the Gurkhas of India, or Punjabis of North India, or the Sepoys of South India. So in Sri Lanka, the Malay people were turned almost into a soldier class. That is why I call them the Orang Regiment, or the regiment people. And they set up a very neat, organized battalions with strict military rules from 1800 to 1873. And they fought the wars for the British. For example, when the British fought the Kandyan king in 1803, who was called Sri Vikrama Rajasinghe, the Malays fought for them. Also, there were Malay groups who were already in Kandy, and they fought against the Malays. In any case, in 1803, the British lost. My theory is that the Malays who were fighting for the Kandyan king were responsible for getting British massacred, and the other Malay groups. But during the Second War in 1815, under Robert Broderick, the Malays all turned against the Kandyan king and joined the British. And as a result, the British could capture the Kandyan king, the last of the kingdom, and they captured the whole country. So that is the beginning of the Malay history. Now let me come. Basically, as I tell you, Malays were regimental people, meaning they were very much prone to work in the regiment and also in the allied what you call security services. For example, in 1873, when the British disbanded the Malay regiment, most of the Malays joined areas where the security needs are needed, such as police department and securities and jailers, and some joined the tea plantation estates. So that is in short the Malay history. Now, most of the time, people thought the Malay being soldiers, they were sort of almost untutored, uneducated people. But my research went on to prove that in Sri Lanka, we had the most elitist community coming from Malays. Why is it so? The Malay people have been preserving their literature, both in the Javanese language and Malay language, and they have brought this literature all the way from Indonesia, particularly from Java. When the kings were exiled here, they brought their kitabs and all the books from Indonesia, their literature, like what you call kavya or epic literature, like Hikayat Amir Hamza, Hikayat Muhammad Hanafiya. All these were very popularly read among the royal circles. They brought them to Sri Lanka, and they also accompanied by some educated class, the higher gurus who supported them. And therefore, we are discovering in Sri Lanka a community of very high cultured people, represented by the kings of Java, kings of Indonesia, and then followed by British. So the significance of my research is not just to elucidate the what you call evolution of the Malay community historically, but my greatest my greatest discovery was when I found that it was the Sri Lankan Malays who produced the first Malay newspaper in the world. Previously, they thought the first Malay newspaper was Jawi Peranakan, published in 1873 by the Indian mullahs. But now I found Sri Lankan Malays produced a newspaper in lithograph far before the Singaporean Malaysians did it. So that gives to you a certain idea how progressive these Sri Lankan Malays were there in their literacy and their love of culture. So that newspaper was called 1869, published in 1869, called Alamat Lankapuri, the address of Sri Lanka, which has now become rather famous. Even in your university, people are doing research. I think Professor American Murad is very much seriously involved in elucidating this Alamat Lankapuri. I'm cooperating with him. Apart from that, the most important thing is Sri Lankan Malay leaders, such as Bamba Ud Saldin. He was one of the, I call it a Malay literary savant of Sri Lanka. He not only published the Alamat Lankapuri newspaper and also some other newspaper called Unmai, The Truth in Arab Tamil, and another thing called Vaja Selong. He also published several lithograph booklets, mostly reading with kitabs, Sufi works. And he was a great Sufi too. So as you know, Sri Lanka was a haven for Sufism, even under the Dutch and Portuguese period. And the Malays here were highly prone to Sharia and mostly Sufi, Shattariya order and Qadriya. So there are quite a lot of events happening within Sri Lanka among the Malay community. And as a result, the Ceylon Malay Regiment people, that is the British people, have established a kind of cadet schools to train Malay soldiers to become the commissioned officers. So they set up a special school. We call it a regimental school, military schools, where not only arithmetic and English were taught, but Malay was taught compulsorily. Now you can understand how Malays survived. When the language is taught to them in their own script, that is Javi, or we call it Gundol, then the literature survived. So my theory is up to 1900, Sri Lanka was part and parcel of the large Dunia Melayu, we call it Malay world, comprising of Malaya, Indonesia, Brunei, Southern Thailand, Patani, and Singapore. So my research have extended the scope of the community's literary activities for them to belong to the Malay world. In fact, 1982, I think, 1982, yes, when Tan Sri Tun Mahathir Mohamad became the Prime Minister for the first time. They had a Malay World Conference in Malacca when Tambiche was the Malaccan Chief Minister. I represented the Sri Lankan Malays, and during the meeting, I presented a manuscript to Tun Mahathir Mohamad. That was captured by the Malaysian newspaper, Malay, Chinese, English paper, and this became a very big hit. And then they decided to hold the second Malay World Conference in Sri Lanka. That was in 1985. I was the one organizer with GAPENA. GAPENA was set up by Professor Tan Sri Ismail Hussain, marhum, and I worked with him together, and we brought the second Malay World Conference to Colombo, Sri Lanka, which was officiated by then Sri Lankan President J.R. Jayawardena. And that brought, how much time I have, sir?
Prof, can you briefly complete in 2 minutes, please?
Okay, right, I will do that.
Okay.
So, okay, that's great, you said. So therefore, this second Malay World Conference too established the role of the Malays, not only within Malay and Sri Lankan history, not only as elitist community, but now the Sri Lankan Malays are being considered as part and part of the larger Malay world. As a result, quite a number of Malaysian visitors, Indonesian visitors come there. Recently also, Professor Wan Hashim Bante brought a group of people there in the Sri Lanka, also on Malay Association. We had a meeting of Nusantara. So to cut it short, now I think I'll summarize last few points. So Sri Lankan Malays were introduced from the Dutch period, mostly as soldiers and princes, and they were developed under the British as soldier community. Once they retired, they spread into various other professions, and since they studied Malay and English in the military schools, they were the corridors of power, meaning their English was good, as so much so the Sri Lankan first minister in the government was a Malay, Tuan Burhanuddin Jaya. And the first puisne justice, Supreme Court justice, was a Malay, M.T. Akbar. And we had other, M.P. Draman, and we had a distinguished people. Can I include me into that? Sorry. Okay. So therefore, I'll conclude it. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Whoever follows up now can conclude from where I left off, spreading into the Maurice community's history. Hope I have made my things very clear.
Thank you very much, Prof. Hussain Mia, for your enlightened speech on Malays in Sri Lanka. Of course, for me, this is something that is very interesting because I have no in-depth information about the role played by Malays in Sri Lanka. Inshallah, we will have some other sessions with other themes where we can give our speakers more time. Thank you once again, Professor Dr. Hussain Mia, for your thought-provoking speech on the Malays in Sri Lanka. With this, we move on to the third speaker, who is Dr. Muhammad Fawz Muhammad Zaki, who is an assistant professor at the Department of Political Science in International Islamic University, Malaysia. And his topic is securitization of Islam, aftermath of Easter Sunday attacks, with special reference to Islamophobia in Sri Lanka. Dr. Zaki, you are welcome.
Thank you, Professor Tamim Osama, and all the participants and speakers here. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So, my topic is securitization of Islam, aftermath of the Easter Sunday attacks. And so, Easter attacks are one of the watershed movements in the history of Sri Lankan Muslims. It is considered by some scholars as 9/11, or at least equivalent to 9/11 with regard to the Sri Lankan Muslims. On April 21st, 2019, 9 suicide bombers blew themselves up in 4 large hotels in Colombo, 3 crowded churches. The well-coordinated and simultaneous attack killed more than 250 innocent civilians and injured more than 500 people.
Sorry to disturb you. Sorry to disturb Muhammad Zaki. Just please show your previous page and your title.
Okay. Sorry, this one. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
This is the title, Securitization of Islam, Aftermath of Easter Sunday Attacks.
Yeah. And though Sri Lanka has experienced massive suicide attacks previously, the Easter attacks were first of its kind after civil war ended between the Sri Lankan state and Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam 2009. The event had a paradigmatic impact on the perception of Sri Lankan state and society towards the Muslim community. The attacks paved the way for the political establishment to legitimately recognize Islam and Muslim community as a security threat and to introduce exceptional laws and regulations to control their religious space. As a result, there had been a public outcry leading up to the presidential election in 2019, demanding that national security needs to be given priority in government policy-making process. So this this created a phenomenon I call resurgence of national security politics in Sri Lanka, which temporarily altered the country's political dynamics, giving former defense secretary and former president Gotabaya Rajapaksa a chance to position himself as the candidate who can fight radical Islam. So in this presentation, I am trying to analyze how specifically under Gotabaya Rajapaksa regime, how it securitized Islam and Islamic religious expressions and Islamic religious activism, and also what are the contextual and discursive factors that legitimized these securitization moves. And this is all about my core idea of my talk. And before that, let me give a brief overview about the idea of securitization. And the concept of securitization emerged in the 1990s in the context of changing global geopolitics after the Cold War. It refers to a process of defining an object or a community or an idea as a security threat that poses a risk to the survival of a referent object. That object might be the state or the religion of the majority or the majority community or the majority's culture. In such case, by declaring something as a security threat, political elites think that they are authorized to use necessary means to deal with this threat. And interestingly, securitization experts argue that security threat is a constructed reality rather than an objective phenomenon. In other words, an issue becomes securitized because political and state elites intentionally speak about an issue as a security threat. They have other options for addressing an issue, but they choose to present it as a security threat, an emergency case, because it provides them extensive power to control a community or an issue in their favor. And in securitization of Islam refers to a process of identifying Islam or a Muslim community or a certain understanding of Islam as a security threat to the state. So I'm going to explore how this securitization happened within the Sri Lankan context after 2019. And so I categorized four levels of securitization. Initially, the securitization of Islamic religious reform. So you see in Sri Lanka after 2019 and under the Gotabaya Rajapaksa's government, it tried to bring some internal religious reform discourses under the national security. For example, Muslim personal law. So he appointed very controversial monks to reform Sri Lankan legal system, appointed a monk to lead a team to reform the Islamic Sri Lankan legal system. Among those is a reforming Muslim personal law. So by appointing a controversial Islamophobic monk, government signaled that even the internal communal reform debate, Islamic reform debates also needs to be viewed through national security lens. And also secondly, the government took many steps to securitize or construct, or at least to categorize Islamic organizations as a threat to the national security. Though the government allowed these organizations to operate freely now and lawfully after clearing their extremism charges, but security agencies continue to view them through the lens of security threat. They frequently visit their offices and request for programs and request for updates about the upcoming programs and request for name list of participants. This all trying to say that though they are free to do anything, but they need the security agencies are very much trying to give a message they are under the control of, and they are still being viewed as a security objects. And the third is securitization of Islamic religious education, where the previous government banned importing Islamic books unless authorized by the Ministry of Defense, and moved to bring even the masjid-based Quran classes under the state purview. For example, in a report published in the website of National Institute for National Security, that says that Quran classes severely overdosing the religious education on students. So the state would have to control these Quran classes so that the threat can be mitigated. And also, finally, previous government introduced deradicalization regulation. That regulation says, as it is mentioned in this slide, new regulations highlighted that the police could arrest anyone they suspect of being a person who by words either spoken or intended to be read, or by signs or by visible representation, or otherwise intends to cause the commission of an act of violence. So this gives a liberty to state agencies to arrest anyone they perceive to be reading or writing or even thinking about terrorism or extremism in their perspective. And how Muslim community, what are the discursive context actually helped to legitimize these securitization policies? I have identified three important sources. One is Sinhala Buddhist majoritarian nationalism, because previous government tried to securitize Islam because it resonated well with the post-war political imagination of Sinhala Buddhist majoritarian nationalism in the country. And according to this project, actually, minorities can live peacefully if they acknowledge the supremacy of the Sinhala Buddhist ethno-nationalist religious identity. So this project actually, from 1990s to 2000, this project viewed Christians and ethnic Tamils as internal enemies to the state, but after the war in 2009, Muslims were scapegoated. And the second important source in terms of securitizing Islam in Sri Lankan context, I found that academics, experts in the security studies paradigm even helped in this direction. For example, scholars from like Rohan Gunaratne try to convince Sri Lankan policymakers and officials and professionals that Sri Lanka could face another round of terrorist attack if the government fails to properly regulate the religious space. He warned that pipeline that produces religious extremism is still alive. He demanded that the state should keep fighting Islamic extremism. The state should make fighting Islamic extremism as a top state priority. And so by promoting these narratives, these academics and security studies experts trying to try to construct that Islam is still a threat to the country. And finally, I found that ex-Muslims also played in this direction a key role in securitizing Islam. Ex-Muslims are individuals who have left Islam for various reasons, such as ideological and experiential ones. They are trying to form their own counter-identity by projecting that radical Islam is currently threatening their lives as well as the global peace. So these groups were given much space by the previous government. So they try to project the Muslim community as the community is controlled by radical Islamists, so there is an inherent threat inherent threat which is still prevailing in Sri Lankan Muslim community. And so they mainly argued that Muslims are ideologically radical. So this type of ex-Muslim narratives also contributed for the securitization of Islam in a Sri Lankan context. So finally, how Muslim community actually responded to these securitization policies and moves and discursive arguments by extensively interviewing Muslim community leaders and Muslim community leaders and civil society organization representatives. I came to conclusion that they have faced this problem through 3 different strategies during last 5 years at least. We can extend to the last 10 years, but I am focusing on last 5 years. Mainly cooperation with the state. The Muslim community leaders and organizations believed that one of the best ways to convince the state agencies and security apparatus that they were not promoting extremism and terrorism was to support their investigations aftermath of the Easter Sunday attacks. To prove their innocence, those organizations actually provided all their details of their activities, names of their members, and financial resources to the state. Muslim organizations even advise their members to reveal whatever they knew about the organization's activities to the state, even if they were invited for interrogation. The Muslim community leaders actually shared that this positive and open engagement with the state actually helped to clear the charges against them and which yielded positive results. This is one approach, the cooperation with the state. The second strategy is challenging the allegations actually. It is true that Muslim organizations cooperated with the state to clear their charges from any false allegations regarding extremism and terrorism. However, they also worked to make public aware that these are baseless allegations. And to achieve this, these organizations published several books and reports that clarified actually their ideological principles and socio-political positions and their perspectives on global violent and extremist movements. And third important step that they have taken in terms of facing these securitization policies is building bridges between the communities. Muslim community activists and organizations strategically try to expand their relationship with other communities and their organizations to developing collaborative projects. The leadership of Muslim community organizations understood that these collaborations would help them to clear misconceptions of other communities about Islamic organizations. Moreover, it also would help them to expand the working scope to include wide spectrum of people with different faith within their, they can benefit from their services. So these are the 3 important strategic directions that Muslim organizations took in terms of responding to the securitization policies. So these are my final closing remarks. With regard to the dynamics of securitization of Islam in Sri Lanka, these are some key takeaways. The first, securitization of Islam in Sri Lanka is a process actually, is a result of an implicit collaboration between the political elites and security studies experts and right-wing Buddhist majoritarian monks. This is a collective project to securitize Islam and consider Islam and Muslim community as a security threat for the purpose of power and to retain the state power within that right-wing fold. And secondly, the securitization of Islam in Sri Lanka. This is quite an important finding, that securitization of Islam in Sri Lanka is not a temporary measure that arose after Easter Sunday attacks and then diffused gradually as the ISIS terrorist threat diminished. Instead, securitization policies have led to a lasting impact on Sri Lankan Muslim society and its socio-religious organizations. as those organizations have still been seen as a security threat, and the intelligence apparatus continue to observe their activities and moves. This development indicates that the securitization of Islam in Sri Lanka has become a mechanism of power that shape everyday reality of the community. Finally, a quick remark about the recent development within the country. Sri Lanka has elected a new president, Anura Kumara Disanayake. The new president is quite left-leaning, and he won on the grounds of anti-corruption, social justice, and non-racial politics. He actually acquired a formidable support from the Muslim community and also the other communities. As a result, Sri Lankan Muslims anticipate that this political change, they hope that this political change will affect, or at least this political change will lead to the change in security policies of the country. And they hope that new president will work to actually desecuritize Islam and issues of Muslim community during his tenure, and works toward that end objective. And nevertheless, nevertheless, he has been as a president for last 1 month. So it remains to be seen how he is going to tackle the securitization of Islam phenomenon in upcoming months and weeks. So this is a new development. Muslims are very much, when I talk to the Muslim leaders and when I follow their feedbacks, I think I can sense that Muslims are very much hopeful that he will do something to desecuritize Islam and Muslims. That's all from me. Thank you very much, Professor Osama, for providing me with this opportunity to share few of my observations with regard to the securitization of Islam in Sri Lanka. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zaki, for your presentation. From your presentation, I can understand that the newly elected president will look into the issue of securitization of Islamic community. And you said that he will be better than the previous leaders who ruled Sri Lanka for several decades. We hope to have some good things emerging in the country because of the new leadership. So with this, thank you very much once again, Dr. Zaki, for your presentation. Now we move on to the next presenter, who is Dr. Muhammad Azad. He is currently a part-time lecturer in IIUM Academy. Also, he is a visiting fellow, visiting faculty member to Rifa International University in Islamabad. And he will be talking about role of Muslim organizations and social cohesion. And he has just graduated from the Department of Usuluddin and Comparative Religion. With this, may I invite Dr. Muhammad Azad to make his presentation. Dr. Zaki, can you remove your slide, please, from the screen?
Okay, Prof. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. Jazakumullah khairan, Prof. Tamim Osama, the Director of IIMU, International Islamic University, Malaysia, Professor Hussein Mia, Dr. Ismail Ramzi, Dr. Zaki, Dr. Afra, and Professor Mumtaz Ali, other lecturers. I welcome, and brothers and sisters in Islam, I welcome all of you with the Islamic greetings. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My presentation is titled Building Bridges, the Role of Muslim Civil Organizations and Social Cohesion in Sri Lanka. In this presentation, I would like to cover three major areas. Firstly, how we can classify the challenges of Muslims and the major turns of Muslim civil organizations in Sri Lanka. And secondly, Muslim civil organizations and their role towards social cohesion. I have chosen ACJU, the largest Muslim religious scholarly body, and NSC, National Surah Council, the largest umbrella organization in Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka Jamaat Islami, SLJI. Finally, I will be discussing most importantly, I would like to give some proposals, suggestions. The record shows that Muslims have a long history of peaceful coexistence with other ethnic groups in Sri Lanka. However, after the civil war ended in 2009, hostilities and oppressions against Muslims increased. This is clearly mentioned in the works of Jehan Gunatilaka and Mal Ranjit, Razak, and Amir Ali. The Sri Lankan Muslim minority is driven and shaped by the community organization to a greater extent. Muslim civil organizations have a strong acceptance and influence within the Muslim minority. Directly or indirectly, all the leaders, opinion makers, and members of the community get involved in those organizations and play their part on behalf of the community. However, following the Easter Sunday attacks in 2019, Muslim civil organizations in Sri Lanka were accused of promoting religious extremism and challenging religious harmony. And some of these organizations face several issues and trials. In light of these events, this research focuses on the role of Muslim civil organizations in fostering religious coexistence and social cohesion in Sri Lanka, identifying their works and possible future directions. Among the Muslim organizations, considering the time, I'm going to present 3 organizational works towards social cohesion. ACJU, one of the largest Muslim religious scholarly body in Sri Lanka. NSC, the National Surah Council, is the consultative body consisting of several Muslim organizations and individuals. It is like an umbrella body, umbrella organization. SLJI, Sri Lanka Jamaat Islami, one of the prominent Islamic movements in Sri Lanka. There are other organizations also like Tabligh and Sufi Tariqa and the Salaf organizations also, but I'm going to discuss these 3 organizational works. In my reading and the understanding, the history of Muslim civil organization in Sri Lanka has taken 4 significant turns shaped by the socio-political landscape. During the civil war period, Muslims coexisted with Tamil communities and sometimes Sinhala communities, engaging in business and other activities. It is known that, like other community, Muslims live in an isolated manner, enjoy community freedom with little need of transparency, functioning like a micro-Islamic society. So Muslim civil organizations work freely and focus Muslims' affairs only. At the end of the civil war, a new form of oppressions emerged as politicians tried to create Muslims as a common enemy, leveraging ethnic tensions for their survival. During this period, Muslim civil organizations worked day and night to educate non-Muslims, remove misunderstandings, and maintain Islamic spirit among Muslims. The Easter Sunday attack brought many different stories. It has different narrations. Importantly, none of the attackers were linked to any well-known established Islamic organization in Sri Lanka. And the attacks had no ties the mainstream Muslim community in Sri Lanka. Despite these, Muslim organizations faced fear and pressure for a short period. In the end, they realized the importance of being transparent and work within the legal framework to overcome majoritarian sentiments and build a positive image. In the current situation, a new generation is fostering a more transparent environment, championing anti-racism, justice, and the vision of a secular, inclusive community. The Muslim community organizations getting a good opportunity to expand the works beyond the community, beyond the Muslim community. Moving to the Muslim civil organizational activities towards coexistence, ACJU, All Ceylon Jamiatul Ulama, is one of the oldest Muslim civil organizations in Sri Lanka. It has 163 branches in all 24 districts in Sri Lanka and 10,000 religious scholars, ulama, as members. The main mission of ACJU is to provide spiritual, ethical, and moral guidance to all levels of Muslim community, contributing to the nation building and peaceful coexistence in Sri Lanka. Therefore, ACJU has many committees: Fatwa Committee, Halal Committee, Hilal Committee, Education Committee. Throughout its history, ACJU has been conducting many initiatives to maintain social cohesion and promote coexistence through many committees. However, in 2009, ACJU established a separate committee called CCC, Council for Coordination and Cooperation, focusing on more effective initiatives for peaceful coexistence and unity between religious society. After the civil war ended, there was a rapidly increasing allegations against Muslims and Islam. So CCC concentrated on publications and declarations. One of the significant book series was Samaja Sangwadya, which means social dialogue, responding and addressing to the major allegations like jihad, abnormal growth of Muslim population, and expansion of Muslim masjid, and Muslim women dress issue, and meat consumption. ACJU tried to raise awareness against these baseless allegations. In 2015, when the ISIS and extremism issue was raised globally, ACJU made a joint declaration with other Muslim organizations in Sri Lanka. This was considered a historical moment. And more recently, they have published a book entitled Don't Be Extreme. After the it is under attack, they initiated many initiatives, lot of initiatives. They did some good initiatives. It is worthy to note that CCC has developed 4 essential objectives for peaceful coexistence, starting with ta'aruf, introduce ourselves, tafahum, mutual understanding, tasamuh, and tolerance, and finally ta'awun, cooperation and collaboration. ACJU had some unique projects with the help of other organizations and some individuals. Visit My Masjid. Originally, it is initiated by CIS, Center for Islamic Studies in Sri Lanka, and Visit My Madrasa programs, opening the madrasa for non-Muslims to visit and explore. Visit other religious places and individuals to maintain good interreligious understanding and engagement, building harmony centers. Number 2, National Surah Council, one of the largest umbrella organizations in Sri Lanka, NSC, to be considered as consultative body consisting of several Muslim organizations in Sri Lanka. It has 7 subcommittees, including networking and coexistence. From the past activities, NSC dedicated to conduct workshop on social cohesion, developing roadmap for that, and formation of national team for coexistence, known as Sahajivane team, conducting workshop on allegations against Islam and Muslims, and visiting religious places, and preparing the set of coexistence-related materials that require a fatwa, Islamic guidance. NSC has initiated dialogue with key opinion leaders, which is unique initiative, identifying key opinion leaders from non-Muslims and starting dialogue with them, removing misunderstanding. They had a project known as Abu Talib project, identifying neutral non-Muslims who support Muslims' works. The main philosophy behind the NSC is to guide and regulate the activities of Muslim civil organization and act as a body that provides guidance and consultations. However, it faces many challenges in getting everyone's involvement and work together. Sri Lanka Jamaat Islami, one of the prominent Islamic movements in Sri Lanka, it has so many branches and thousands of members and projects. Initially, it used to work in 3 levels. Number 1, members affairs, and number 2, community affairs and national affairs. Throughout Jamaat Islami history, it demonstrated a full-fledged organization catering not only Muslims, but also non-Muslims, and nation building. One of the unique initiatives made by Jamaat Islami is the establishment of Tanveer Academy, a significant project aimed at producing Sinhala medium Muslim scholars, ulamas, in Sri Lanka. This was the first effort to train religious scholars in Sri Lanka in Sinhala language. As you know, normally Muslims of Sri Lanka speak in Tamil language. All of our madrasa education and the religious education focus a Tamil audience. But this Tanveer Academy is a unique initiative which is essential since Sri Lanka's majority population speaks Sinhala language. Jamaat Islami also has an organization called Ramya Lanka. Ramya means beauty or prosperous. The main goal is to foster good relationship between Muslims and non-Muslims, especially between Muslims and Sinhalese, Muslims and Tamils. Ramya Lanka focuses on 5 key areas: human welfare, environmental protection, promoting good governance, ethical media, and building unity among Sri Lankans. They often work with the other organizations and are involved in charitable activities like blood donation, tree plantation, providing relief to those who in need. Now I'm going to talk about the future directions of these organizations and what I can propose based on my understanding, based on my study. I have noticed that these organizations have taken many initiatives and launched some unique projects, some of which are much needed. However, it is important to evaluate and analyze the impact of these projects and effectiveness of these plans. Therefore, more research is necessary to understand the benefits of these projects. So first and foremost, I suggest that there should be a clear framework for all their activities. All Muslim civil organizations need to have a proper plan that outlines how they will carry out their works, what the justifications are, what the philosophy behind it, and how they will measure the impact. This is essential because without it, Muslims may carry out programs but not fully understand their effectiveness. To short down this issue, Muslims organizations or Sri Lankan Muslims need a strong research center that focuses on conducting studies and developing frameworks collectively, analyzing previous projects and maintaining good database. Secondly, Muslim civil organizations should engage in concrete projects that promote more effective collaboration, especially in areas like art and culture, sports and science, and innovation. Thirdly, there should be a collaborative initiatives that encourage both Muslims and non-Muslims to work together and raise awareness on various issues. While I won't go into all the details, the idea is that these organizations should develop a structured program and conduct research to form a proper framework. As I mentioned earlier, the research center can focus researchers on Muslim minority issues, community issues, common issues, drafting a framework for all in an holistic manner. Moving to the concrete projects, art and culture is a unique area that Muslim civil organizations should focus more. Muslims can go for the model of Alex or Charles, or we have our own model, Virudu. This includes sports initiatives also. And more importantly, the proposal for mixed religious education. Muslim civil organization, with the approval of the government, can consider establishing a common platform or common institution where religious studies such as madrasa education, Islamic education, Buddhist education, Hindu education, Christian education are studied together. This will foster greater engagement between religious leaders. Although the project should be drafted carefully, but Muslim civil organizations play a vital role drafting in this project. Additionally, Muslim civil organizations need to focus on improving online content because before a few years ago, I have conducted research analyzing Sinhala medium Islamic websites that introduce Islam and Sri Lankan Muslims in Sri Lanka. Initially, 38 websites were identified, and I have classified into 3 categories. nearly research-based websites and popular websites and common websites. And I gave some scales to evaluate the content of these websites. In my research, I found that many Sinhala language websites lack contextualized content. So it is crucial to develop websites that not only provide accurate information or teachings of Islam, but also address the need of the audience according to the context, according to the research. This website should focus more on collaboration to have a wider impact. So some individuals try to bring a website called Nawa Manasa. So they are working on this project to give a comprehensive idea about Islam and Muslims. For the collaborative initiatives, I have two proposals. This is my last part. I have two proposals. Firstly, why Muslims of Sri Lanka don't think about to establish a collaborative organizations to address issues affecting both Muslims and Buddhists, or both Muslims and Hindus, with the approval of the government and other religious bodies. For example, a joint Buddhist-Muslim organization could be formed to work on religious issues and common concerns. This is the ideal time to explore this idea and research its possibilities. Secondly, in Sri Lanka, school students study religious education separately, with Muslims learning learning about Islam, and Buddhists about Buddhism, Christians about Christianity. As a multi-religious and multi-ethnic country, it is important that every Sri Lankan gains some understanding of other religions to know the religious sensitivities. To address this issue, apart from the religious education, I proposed a collaborative, a comprehensive religious text that everyone can study all other religions. These are the two main initiatives that I can suggest.
लेक्चर चल रहा है श्रीलंका में इस्लामाइजेशन के हवाले से।
So
मेरे कमरे में नेट नहीं आ रहा था, तो मैंने सोचा
framework,
कि
Muslim civil
कहाँ पे जाऊँ,
organizations, how
और ये लेक्चर बड़ा इम्पोर्टेंट है, इसको
Brother Shahid Iftikhar, can you mute? Okay. This is the chart. These two parts I have explained. The second one, third one, and the fourth one will be my suggestion. And with that, these are my references. I have consulted official websites of SEJU and NSC, and some of the journal articles and books, and personal interviews with the members or the main members of those organizations, and some of the research, some of the reports. Thank you so much, IIMU, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share the role of Muslim civil organizations in fostering social cohesion in Sri Lanka. Thank you so much, Prof. Jazakumullah khair.
Thank you very much, Dr. Muhammad Azad, for your presentation, in which you have touched about the role and contributions of Muslim civil organizations, and you have also given some suggestions for Buddhist, Muslim, Hindu cooperation and collaboration. I think this is a very good move that Muslims should reconsider living in isolation, speaking in isolation, and talking in isolation. Instead, they should really reach out to other communities and other religions so that we can have common discourse to have peace and coexistence in a country like Sri Lanka or India, or countries where we see multi-religious communities live and exist. So thank you very much once again, Dr. Azad, for your presentation.
Thank you so much.
With this, we move on to the last presenter, which is Dr. Muhammad Ismat Ramzi. He is a senior lecturer in Faculty of Education, University of Malaya. He has also a vast experience in interreligious discourses. He was also a graduate of International Islamic University, Malaysia, particularly from the Department of Usuluddin and Comparative Religion. He has given a number of keynote speeches in many international universities. With this, I call upon Dr. Ismat Ramzi to make his presentation, and his topic is Muslims education in Sri Lanka. فليتفضل يا أخي
Assalamu
إسماعيل
alaikum.
رمزي.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Prof. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. First of all, I would like to thank IIMU and as well as Professor Ami Musama, the director of the IIMU, for giving me this opportunity. And also, I would like to thank my teachers here, Prof. Mumtaz Ali, and also some of my friends and my colleagues, especially presenters from Professor Husemia, and as well as Dr. Zaki, Dr. Afra, Dr. Asad, and all my participants. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Prof, I cannot share my slides.
You can share because others have been sharing.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking for where.
You just go to your share column and then just go to share and then share. Because we have allowed all people to share.
Okay, I couldn't.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I think I have sent you my slides. Maybe screen, right? I have to go screen and share, right?
Yeah, yeah. You have an icon share.
Yeah,
you
I
open
did.
your slide, then go to share and then click, then it is uploaded.
Professor Usama.
Yes, Professor Mumtaz, anything?
This lecture should have a whole session, in fact.
All right.
Muslim
Okay.
education in
Yeah,
Sri
yeah.
Lanka.
Now we can see your slide, Dr. Ismat.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, assalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. So today, I'm going to discuss about some of the opportunities and challenges of Muslim of Sri Lanka. So some of my previous presenters have already discussed about some basic detail of Sri Lanka. I just go to the some of the opportunities. So the first, actually, what are the opportunities Muslims of Sri Lanka have it, and then we will discuss about a little bit about the challenges. So the Sri Lankan Muslim around 2.3 million, the presently in Sri Lanka, and almost 70% of them in the east, and others are spread out. So the large number of Muslims in one place is one of the opportunity in Sri Lanka. And majority of the Muslims in Sri Lanka, they speak two languages minimum, the Tamil and as well as Sinhalese languages. So this is another opportunity. And also, there is no much division among Muslims in terms of mazhab or other aspect. So this is also another opportunity. And then high literacy rate in Indian subcontinent among the Muslims. Actually, that also one of the opportunity. Financially, Sri Lankan Muslims are relatively good. And then Muslim contribution to the country well recognized in Sri Lanka, and then also the positive relationship with the majority, like Dr. Asad now highlighted some of the aspects. So these are some of the opportunity we have in Sri Lanka. With this, we also have challenges. Recently, we have discussed some of the challenges that the Muslim face in Sri Lanka, especially after the 2020. So the major issues actually we have is a constitutional reform. The government is going to have the constitutional reform. However, we have a question whether the Muslims are ready to face these challenges and contribute to this constitutional reform. Particularly, we have the Muslim Personal Law, they call it the MMDA. So this is a century-old issue, but still we didn't sort it out. And then poor political literacy. This is also one of the issues actually we found in the recent in the Sri Lankan, among the Muslim of Sri Lanka, particularly the Muslims, the politician, even the general election or maybe the presidential election, when the politicians come to the stage and they just talk about these some emotional issues to convince the Muslims to vote for them, that so it means it shows that the Muslim of Sri Lanka has a poor literacy rate. And the second one, third one actually, poor women empowerment. That also another issue we are facing now, and unstructured Islamic education. So because we observe that the Islamic thought and education, yeah. Okay, so this Islamic education is not properly structured, and the last one is unstructured madrasa education system. So in this presentation, I'm going to focus on the madrasa education. So before we are going to this discussion, just we ask question: do we really need madrasa education? So so far we understood the Islamic education contributed to protect or promote the Islamic thought and practices, especially in terms of application in Sri Lanka and as well as many other many other minority countries, and especially from the colonization period. It means the 1950s or before. The Islamic education, especially madrasa education, has contributed. However, the recent research in the Western world has emphasized the role of madrasa education. So because the Western world in after 1845, they introduced secularism, and then they found the religious education as a problematic. However, now they understood, even the Western world understood the importance of religious understanding and religious knowledge, because they discussed the importance of religious education in two perspectives: one as a religious leader, and the second as a religious education. As a religious leader, they are the center of the society in any part of the world. They can contribute to the diversity and also promoting equality or the quality life. So these are some of the important aspects of the religious leaders' contribution to the society. And also in European Council, they said the intercultural education and challenges of religious diversity and also dialogue in Europe. They introduced this. They said the inclusion of the religious education is very important to promote the diversity and also diversity education. So these are some of the aspects we can elaborate the importance of religious education, particularly madrasa education. So the history of madrasa education in Sri Lanka, just to overview, the first madrasa education in Sri Lanka established in 1884. The Madrasatul Bari in Veligama in the south of Sri Lanka. And then until 1981, selected madrasa were funded by the Ministry of Education. However, after 1981, after the establishment of a Department of Muslim Religious and Cultural Affairs under the Cultural Ministry, no education ministry involved in madrasa system, and they stopped funding for madrasa education. And the Sri Lankan madrasa are governed by the current situation. All the madrasa are governed by the individuals or the group of philanthropists. This is the in each and every part of the Sri Lanka. Currently, we have 317 madrasa registered under the Department of Muslim Religious and Cultural Affairs. Out of these, 70 are for boys and the 30 are for girls. And the Sri Lankan madrasa are involved in delivering lower secondary and upper secondary level of education. And Sri Lankan madrasa curriculum is based on the Nizam, Darul Nizam curriculum introduced in the 18th century. So these are the overview of the madrasa education in Sri Lanka. Yeah, and then, sorry. So the research on madrasa education in Sri Lanka, we have, there are a number of people have done research on madrasa education, how we can improve the madrasa education system. And then they have recommended some of the proposals, such as, so far in madrasa education, we have no centralized regulatory authority and low level of intercultural competency education, lack of career perspective, poor quality curriculum, lack of opportunities to learn local language, as we mean actually the majority language or the official language, that is called the Sinhalese language. And the level of intake criteria is very low. And then no primary level compulsory general education. And then absence of an effective board of management, absence of proper aim and objectives, no standard operation procedure for administration, and lack of teacher training and employer facilities, and lack of finance and resources, lack of community engagement, and dichotomy of education. I mean, dual type of education, religious and secular, within the madrasa education environment. These are the findings and the recommendation we have summarized from the previous research. And then latest research after the Easter attack in 2019, there are some social scientists and political analysts like Jayasuriya, and Deserter, and Odo Shri, and many of other people also question the existence of madrasa in Sri Lanka, and then some of them recommended closure of these madrasas, saying that these madrasas serve for the extremism. And then taking this question and also recommended as a challenge, we had a research on whether the religious education, especially the Muslim religious education and madrasa, are contributing to the extremism or not, or they are contributing to intercultural understanding and competency. So this article has been published in the religions, and then we use actually mixed method, and then our finding says the level of religious leaders, actually the madrasa education graduate, there are the two type of the leaders. I mean madrasa graduates. One is a da'i, another are teachers. So in term of da'i, recorded a third level of IC, I mean intercultural competency of the DIMS model, while the teachers are in a more than that. So in the minimum level, they have the third level. It means usually the universities and who have intercultural environment, intercultural curriculum, intercultural trained teachers, they also had only the fourth level. However, without any of these, the facilities, any of these environmental supports, still the madrasa can have the level, the third level. It means only the Islamic religious education contributed to develop their level to such level. So this is actually the positive rather than considering the madrasa as a source for the extremism or something. So that's actually our finding. And then so this means we after our the research, we recommended to contribute and also sustainably consistent of this madrasa system in the country, especially country like Sri Lanka. And after this, the research, we did another research that's called madrasa education and IR 4.0 is something like it's a prediction. So this the prediction we have studied on 6 perspectives or objectives and learning outcome, and then curriculum, educational environment, instructional technology, and teacher training. So based on this, the 6 perspective, we try to understand the current madrasa education system, and as well as what will happen when the world is moving towards IR 4.0. Now, actually for IR 5.0. So then this research was in the last year, so beginning of this year. So this, we found some of the information like, the madrasa has no proper vision and mission, as many madrasas started with the individuals. So since, as I mentioned before, the many of madrasa started by individuals and managed by a group of people or the individuals. So because of that, there is no proper vision or vision. And the second one, guiding the society as a teacher and living model. So this also shows, some problematic. And then, and latest developments such as advanced level to support the graduates. However, this situation also become worse when the IR 4.0, we will discuss a little bit later in that part. So then we had studied another perspective, religious madrasa education from the curriculum perspective. So in collaboration with some of the UKM scholars, we did this research, and then we published this one article in the assessment of the teaching and learning methodology in Islamic studies. So this in this research, we found the many of madrasa, including Sri Lankan madrasas, are following Nizamiya system. So this system is more than 300 years old. So because of that, these curriculum are not proper and also could not deliver what actually the society is expected from this madrasa now. And then I just, that there are some other scholars working on that. This is Professor Rosnani Hashim has many books, even the last, actually in 2022 also, he has some articles. And then current research. So although we have this madrasa education has some issues like objectives and learning outcome, and also the curriculum and education environment, instructional technology, teacher training. These are some of the area we have found some issues in the madrasa education, but still we found the one of the important among all these, the important is administration. So one of my students, Rislan, Muhammad Farooq and Muhammad Rislan, is currently doing PhD research on the how we can have the proper model for madrasa administration, because the previous research highlighted the importance of developing century-old madrasa education. This is we discussed. Previous studies mainly focus on improving the existing madrasa education. However, broader perspective, the latest development of education sphere within the country and globally, this was missing. So the my student, Rislan, he's undertaken the research to bridge the gap between the madrasa education and general education in Sri Lanka, and to develop a model based on the administration.
Dr.
So he's
Smith,
now...
Dr. Smith, can you briefly conclude it in 2-3 minutes, please? 2 to 3 minutes, please.
Yeah, okay, can. Okay, thank you, Prof. So this is the research, and then madrasa that we need in future, since we are approaching the AI. So then many of the young generation will have the access to the ChatGPT and other AI softwares. So these young generation will approach the madrasa graduates to verify what they have got the information through AI apps. So they should be able, the future madrasa graduates are able to respond to them. And then second one, now we have many translating softwares. So then even the primary sources, these young generation will have the translation and will have the argument and also the discussion. So the madrasa graduates should prepare to face them and also to discuss with them. So these are some of the issues we are going to have in the future. So the graduates should be ready. So in conclusion, we can say that madrasa needs a revision to have the graduates who can respond to the future generation, who have already access to AI and also well-versed in the internet and also the old resources. So that we have to reform the administration, objectives, learning outcome, curriculum, and education and environment, instructional technology, and teacher training. So these are the aspects we have to look into the madrasa education in order to have the proper and also suitable graduate for the next generation. With this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you very much, Prof, and also my audience for listening to me. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Jazakumullah khairan.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ismat Ramzi, for your presentation, in which you have emphasized on the research findings related to madrasa education in Sri Lanka. You have also highlighted that madrasa education needs to be reformed to include the latest developments in technology, so that the madrasa educated scholars will be able to meet the challenges facing the Muslim Ummah. Thank you very much once again, Dr. Ismat Ramzi, for your presentation. Now we come to question and answer session. We have with us Dr. Amiruddin. Are you with us still? Can you remove the slide, brother Dr. Ismat?
Already. Oh.
Okay. Can you remove your screen? I mean your slides?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Okay, any question from the audience? Any comments or question from the participants? I can see a number of people from different countries. Just now, there was a scientist who was originally from Sri Lanka, but living in Australia, teaching in Monash University. His name is Dr. Amiruddin. I was able to see him, but perhaps just now he left. Any other question from the audience, my dear audience? We have spent about 2 hours and we learned a lot about Sri Lanka, particularly from the history of Muslims in Sri Lanka and the Malays, how they were contributing to the development of Sri Lankan community in particular. And also we heard about Islamophobia and its related issues in Sri Lanka. Then we heard about Muslim civil organizations' contributions to social cohesion. And lastly, Dr. Ismat Ramzi was talking about the relevance of Islamic education, particularly madrasa education, which is following the Silsila Nizamiya manhaj or methodology, which has been invented 2 to 3 centuries ago. So any question from the floor?
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Doctor.
I am Ibn Saud from Chennai.
Yes, Dr. Ibn Saud, my dear friend, Ibn Saud. Welcome.
So Alhamdulillah, I heard all the papers. Of course, only 2 papers I could attend. But I feel that Sri Lanka is far advanced than our Indian Muslim madrasas. Because I know that what is the madrasa, because I hear what is his name? I forgot his.
In Sri
The
Lanka?
Berwale. What is the? No, yeah, Berwale Madrasa. What is the name of Berwale Madrasa? There was one famous madrasa is there, no?
Jamia
Nalimia. So I know about Nalimia and his rector also.
Nalimia is not a
Sukri.
madrasa, it is a university now.
I know it's anyhow, but it was started basically as a madrasa.
Started as a madrasa.
But once when you see that Nalimia, I visited Nalimia and I also met Sukri and all these things. Because I am running a madrasa.
I also visited Nalimia and met Professor Shukri there.
Okay. Now I think he's Agar Muhammad is the rector, I think Agar. So I visited all the madrasas in Sri Lanka because we are running a madrasa in Kayalpattinam in the name of Aisha Siddiqa Girls Islamic College. So just to know about how the madrasas are run in Sri Lanka, we visited even our Mavanala Madrasa, Aisha Siddiqa Madrasa. Then we went to our Abu Bakr Siddiq Madani. He is also running in a madrasa. So like that, few madrasas we visited. In Puttalam also visited. So we find, of course, Sri Lanka is far better than India in the madrasa education. Because here in India, many madrasas are getting closed because they are not getting people as they have not started doing new things. Only madrasa now which is surviving in India is our Buhari Alim Medium Arabic College, which is associated with the Crescent B.S.A. Rahman University. That is one of the, getting people also. And of course, our madrasa Siddiqa is also getting for the ladies. I think that it is high time that we have to, because I am very much astonished to see this Nalimia people are all in many very big posts. They are in DGP like police force and administrative posts. So such a transformation has not happened in Tamil Nadu. I think now there are some efforts going on, inshallah. So we may have to do something in the same pattern in Tamil Nadu also, how we can modernize these madrasas. As he was mentioning, this Nizamiya syllabus is very much old, 300 years old. So we have to create a new syllabus for the madrasas. So for that, you should, maybe IIU can, International Islamic University can take a lead to prepare a syllabus, model syllabus for the madrasas, so that everybody can follow, because you can take the syllabus from Qura University, Medina University, and so many other universities. So let us prepare a very comprehensive syllabus for this madrasa, which can be floated to the people. So we can ask everybody to follow this syllabus. That will create a better understanding, and we can create a future leadership with all the understanding, because comparative religion and all these things should be taught to them. So I think Usama, as he is there, he can take a lead role in creating this syllabus, inshallah.
Oh, thank you very much, Brother Ibn Saud, for your concern. And it is true that we should really conduct serious, in-depth research on madrasa education in Tamil Nadu, because we haven't done proper research. We do not know exactly where it stands and what is the current situation. Of course, we have a Kulliya of Education, which is Faculty of Education in IIUM. We can bring this message to the Kulliya of Education to see whether they can come up with a standardized madrasa education curriculum to really help those institutions which are really handicapped, particularly in Tamil Nadu or in other places where madrasa education is very poor. I think Dr. Ismat Ramzi also can help, because he is in the Faculty of Education in University Malaya, and he has conducted a series of research on Islamic education and madrasa education. I think using that framework that he has applied in madrasa education research in Sri Lanka. We can also do a research in Tamil Nadu to see where are we standing and what are the handicaps or shortcomings or deficiencies, and do we have learning outcomes in the syllabus? Do we have proper management? Do we have proper textbooks? Are we using the contemporary textbooks or the classical textbooks or outdated textbooks? These things have to be studied first, I think. I think we will engage some people in the near future, inshallah. We can continue.
Yeah. No, you have to engage as well as Malaysia is considered a Muslim country and IIU is playing a great role. You can think of giving a franchisee model because you prepare a syllabus. Whoever follow that syllabus, maybe you can set up the questionnaire. Everything can be conducted through IIUM. So such madrasas can be created here. Maybe all the madrasas which are already existing, so they can be asked to affiliate with the IIUM, inshallah. So that will create a better understanding and people will be very happy to do that, inshallah.
Inshallah, we take note of it. I'll pass this information to the Kulliya of Education where we have experts in this regard. Thank you very much for your comment and suggestion. Can we move on to others from our Zoom? I think I can see Dr. Saeed Ibrahim, who is a graduate of this Al-Bukhari Institute that Dr. Brother Ibn Saud has mentioned. He is from Kayal Pattinam, Saeed Ibrahim. Do you know him?
I heard about him. I could not meet. This time I came to Malaysia. He is working in Masjid India. He is in Masjid India.
Yeah, he is there currently, but it's not a permanent job. He's just doing something. He has just graduated from our university with his doctorate degree.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
And if you have time, you can read his master's thesis, which is on interpretations of Jainul Abidin. His master's thesis is to what extent Jainul Abidin's interpretation of the Quran is right or otherwise. That is his master's thesis. Okay. And his PhD thesis is related to Maqasid Sharia and how to coordinate with Hindus or non-Muslims in India. I think both the theses
so
are...
let us, when he comes to Chennai, we will arrange a program for him.
Yes, I think it's good. He's there, you can use him. Dr. Hafiz Zahid, any question or comment you want to make? Dr. Hafiz, can you unmute? You want to say anything?
Yes, sir.
Most welcome.
Please.
Okay, you can unmute.
Yes, sir. I am here, please. Just I have a question from the first participant that was Madam Afra. Dr. Afra. Sir, as he has mentioned that in the first days, Hazrat Adam alayhi salam was descended to Sri Lanka, and that place was known today as Piduru Talagala. So how we can make a differentiation that we have a preference on Buddhists because they consider themselves as this is the footprint of Buddha. The Muslims consider that this is the footprint of Hazrat Adam. So I want to know something more about her, or have anyone other find out anything research.
Okay. Just very please. Good question. Very pertinent question. Dr. Afra, are you here? Afra, Dr. Afra?
Yes, Prof, I'm here.
Okay. The question is, we the Muslims claim that the footprint was Adam's, and the Buddhists claim that it was the footprint of Buddha. What is our answer based on authentic research?
So the Prof, it's just a belief of Muslim that Adam set his first step on Adam's peak. authentic regarding that, and I don't read any information. So I think the other speakers can answer to this, because this is we should answer in authentic information, with the authentic information.
Okay, okay. Can we hear from Ismet Ramzi or Fauzi, Zaki or Hussein Mia or Azad?
Dr.
Any news about
Ramzi
it?
is the
Azad
ideal
is an
person.
expert of Buddhism.
No, Dr. Ramzi is the ideal person to answer this question.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Actually, my PhD thesis first chapter about this Sri Lankan Muslim history. So there's in that what we found the first time this this is the Athens Peak is claimed by the Ibn Battuta.
Ibn
So,
Battuta.
yeah, Ibn Battuta, he claimed, but however, only his perception. There is no any other archaeological evidence to show that the claim is right. There are some some only the assumptions. The first one is they said that this is the island, and also there are some people claim that this Pidurdalagala, this is the mountain, is the oldest mountain in the world. So, but this also we have no any solid evidence so far, as much as I know. So these all the in empirical evidences or archaeological evidences are lacking so far to claim that this is the place where Adam Islam was born.
Can we say this is an area that we can do more research?
Of course, Prof.
Yeah, I think this area can be taken up for research by one of our incoming candidates from Sri Lanka. He can refer to Tamil and Singali manuscripts and come up with findings based on, of course, empirical evidence.
I guess more than that, actually, the people who can access to the some of the Portugal resources, who they can do real research, because the many of our archaeological evidence has taken by them.
Portuguese.
And the Portuguese, and also we were told that some of the evidence are still in the Delhi. So in the archaeological department. So then people who have access can do that.
Okay. Very good, very good. Any other comment or question from our colleagues and friends and
Sir,
students
inshallah,
from Zoom?
sir,
Yes,
I
Prof.
will.
Dr. Hafiz, yes.
Sir, sorry to disturb you.
No,
sir,
you are not
I will
disturbing.
sir, I will try my best to do research on it, inshallah Aziz.
Inshallah.
And in the next research article will be on it, by the grace of Allah, inshallah.
Okay, for the sake of audience, can you please briefly introduce yourself?
Sir, me?
Yeah.
Sir, I'm Dr. Hafiz Zahid Latif, Associate Professor of Islamic Studies in University of Engineering and Technology, Lahore. Basically, my PhD research was on the concept of the Day of Judgment in Abrahamic religions and modern scientific revelations.
Alhamdulillah.
So, thanks so much. Here I am working since last 18 years in UET Lahore.
Alhamdulillah.
Thanks.
University of Technology, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, yes. We know that university very well. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you, sir.
Alhamdulillah. So any other question from the floor? It is now 4:45 or 4:50, close to 4:50. Can we have one more question from the floor, if there is any one to ask? No. Okay. Okay. I think it seems that there are no questions because the presentations were very clear and systematic, and the participants have learned a lot. If you have no objection, please share with us your slides and give us permission to also forward the slides to our participants. We have a system in the institute called IIMU Fellowship. International Institute for Muslim Unity has generated a system called IIMU Fellowships. We have more than 500 fellows who are academics from different parts of the world. We will also distribute your slides. Also, we have recorded your presentations. It will be also on our YouTube, inshallah, very soon after the recording is complete. So with this, we want to take a photo of our participants. Can you please open your camera? And before that, may I take now this opportunity to thank each and every speaker, each and every participant, and each and everyone who has given some comments and suggestions. Inshallah, we take note of this. We will have series of programs like this on Muslim unity, particularly focusing on Muslim minorities in this region. We want your fullest cooperation and also your contributions so that we can help the Muslim Ummah to come back to the real scene that they should have in our lifetime. So with this, may I call upon all of you to just open your camera. We take a photo. Thank you all very much. May Allah bless you all, and we see you in November with 1 or 2 more programs. Inshallah, we have finalized the dates and we have not printed our poster. And once we print our poster, we will share with you, inshallah. That will be IIMU Muslim Unity Series 3. There will be one. And we will also have IIMU Book Review Series 1 in November, inshallah. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa billahi tawfiq wal hidayah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you take